So it's a beautiful film. How has it been travelling?
So we'll find out how it's travelling very soon. It's a wonderful thing to actually have got a documentary, an Australian documentary, into the cinemas, and I'm very excited about that. Let's hope we open the doors and they come.
Now, let's make something very clear here.
Mm-hmm.
You've made this documentary because you wanted to make it.
Sure.
I want you to be absolutely honest. Instead of making this documentary, you could have done another Hollywood studio film.
Correct. Yes.
So let's be very clear about
Yes.
that. You weren't looking for something.
You're being very stern with me, very strict.
No, because I just want to make this very clear. Like,
Right.
Scott Hicks is making
Another one.
doco. Why is he making movies anymore? You could have.
Yeah.
You were in a position to do this.
Sure.
Because you made a film called The Lucky One.
Yes.
This is the kind of thing that people don't often talk about when they speak to directors. That movie cost about $30 million to make.
Yes.
And
about
it made
that.
over $100 million.
Yes. Yeah. It was number
That
2
puts
at the
you
box
in-
office in its opening weekend.
Yeah,
which-
it was a huge hit.
Yeah, it was great.
Just firstly, what does having a $100 million hit on your CV do for a director at your stage in your career?
Well, it's obviously very helpful. And, when it follows on a series of ones of going, No Reservations was the same. It opened with Catherine Zeta-Jones for the first film that she was actually opening as a movie star. And going back to Shine, which had also, made more than 100 million worldwide for a $4 million budget. So it does really, it does help to have that there. And what I've loved doing, Jim, is that I like a sort of patchwork thing, that between these big movies, which are fun to do, they're very demanding, and they've got high expectation attached. Because if they come a cropper, there's people don't talk to you for a while.
The polarity just switches, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Rather than being a big positive, it's a big negative.
Yes, that didn't work. Okay. So, I love doing that, but I also love coming home and then doing something that's a piece of passion for me. And when this sort of came into my lap, this film, because Ulrika Klein, who's this remarkable woman who set about this project to buy these 4 ancient instruments by Guadagnini, a great luthier who was around the same time as Stradivari, a bit after Stradivari. And she came and talked to Kerry and I about the film, about her project. And she said, do you think there's a story in this? I thought, I can see it already, I mean, it's a world that fascinates me to begin with, classical music, always has. In a way, this is one of a kind of trilogy, in a sense, from Shine through Glass to Highly Strung.
Yeah. The reason why I was making that point, I did not mean to be rude, but I wanted to just.
And I didn't take it as a rude. I
just wanted to put on the record
Yeah.
that when you say it's an obsession, it's something that you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put some substance
Sure,
under that, saying,
sure.
yeah, you could have been making friggin' some sequel thing to some romantic comedy.
It could have been The Lucky Two.
And you do still get a lot of offers
Yes.
from Hollywood, so it's not like you're wanting for work. Now,
Because the other thing was, one of the things I do in America as well is I've made quite a lot of high-end TV commercials. And in fact, the Glass film was initially financed by the money that I was making out of commercials. So it was a lovely sort of way to recycle Madison Avenue.
also, just as a side point, you like shooting a lot of the stuff yourself. In your doco.
Yeah.
Is that again another deliberate thing, that when you're making a feature film, you have an army at your disposal?
True.
And when you're making a doco, it's all been reduced to you, and you're there holding the camera.
It's so immediate and so connected for me that I love it. And I love the fact of literally having just, say, 2 or 3 other people supporting me, helping me to do it. But having the camera in my own hands is like a huge liberation, because, I don't have to pull someone around and point them in the direction I want to be looking. It's my own instincts, my own eye, and it's a real, it's a liberating thing, basically. And that element I really love.
What is it like making a Nicholas Sparks film? Are you issued, sir, with an official instruction booklet about what you can do and what you cannot do.
Well, it's going to
These are the
basically...
limits. This is the formula, and ye shall follow the formula. What's the reality of making a Nicholas Sparks film?
It's not quite as naked as that, but, you know, the subtext is definitely that this is a... Look, there is an audience there who really like the material and love that. And it's going to have on the poster is going to be two gorgeous white people, you know, kissing. I mean, so this is it. You know, that's the nature of the material. I had one amazing interview when I was in Berlin doing the press for The Lucky One with a guy who came in and he just said, "This is the worst film I have ever seen." I go like, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, why are you wasting your time talking to me about it?" You know, he said, "It's so predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen from the..." I said, "Did you see Titanic?" And he said, "Why? What's that got to do with it?" I said, "Didn't you know what happened in the end?" I said, that wasn't bad for that movie, you know. And by the way, we were, you know, number 2 in the box office in America. There is an audience. So anyway, it was
Can we just nail this thing? Saying that a film is predictable is not a criticism in itself. It's like saying a comedy is funny. Some films, you know they're predictable. That's why you go see certain films, because you want something. And with this genre of films, surely there are buttons that people are expecting to be pushed, and it is your job to push them. And my argument has always been, it's schmaltz. That's not a criticism. It's an issue of how well it's done. And I love that film because of how proficiently and how dutifully you did the job that the audience is expecting.
Well, it's it's you know, like cooking a beautiful souffle. I mean, it's not necessarily easy, actually, because one inadvertent opening of the oven door and the whole thing's going to fall flat. So, you know, you've got to do it as well as you can. And any film that I do engages me fully. I'm not. You can't sneer at the material that you're engaged with. It's really important to take it seriously. It's really important to take the audience seriously, because they smell artifice very, very quickly.
Now, the critics didn't like your film.
Yeah, this is the lucky one.
The lucky one, right.
Yeah.
This discrepancy between critical reception and popularity, in terms of what the audience likes, there seem to be more and more examples of the chasm between critics deriding something and the audience loving something. It seems to be happening more and more, Scott. Do you think that there's something going on with audiences?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one. It's really, I think, you know, from a filmmaker's standpoint, although, of course, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, what are people going to say about this film? You can't let that drive you. It's far more important to think about what the audience is going to think. And in some ways, the Sparks genre is kind of critic-proof, if you like. You'll get the brickbats, but the audience will come if you make the film properly, you know. That's the thing. It's like commercial music or something. You know, you've got to. Okay, there are certain things that are formulaic, but if you mess with it at your peril, and if you've got an audience, then, you know, I think sometimes we forget about our audience too much in Australian filmmaking. I think that's a flaw. I think we make wonderful films, but sometimes we don't know who they're for.
You must now have so much knowledge about how the film industry works, but how the film market works as well. Now, the Carpenters seem to provide a beautiful model for what the Australian industry still has trouble with. Last year we had a fantastic year with Aussie films because we had great films, high quality films, and people knew that they were there to go see.
Yes,
An ongoing problem, Scott, that we've had in 2014, we seem to be having it again this year, is this syndrome of producing really, really good movies and just not backing it up with the marketing and the publicity to let people know 3 to 4 weeks before its release that it's going to be there.
Exactly.
As a result, really good movies like Month of Sundays come and go very, very quickly. And so the Carpenters offer an interesting kind of model or example of how you should be proud of the quality of the work that you do, but that's not enough. You have to go out there and you got to sell.
You spruik it. You've got to spruik it. You've got to set out your stall and sell.
I mean, when you make an American movie,
Oh,
it comes with
yeah, well, that's, when, especially when you make a movie for Warner Brothers, which I've been lucky enough to do several, when they market a film, they really market it. There is no half measures. They will, the choice is either they will put it on the shelf and you'll never see it, or it'll get every bell and whistle in Christendom, and it's like, that to me is amazing. The energy, the effort that they put in, and the money as well. And I think the thing that I also like about the Carpenters is that they could care less what people think, and in a way, there's a reflection of Philip Glass in that. Oddly enough to say, because Philip says in the film I made about him, I don't care about the people who don't like me. I only care about the people who do, and fortunately, there's enough of them to keep me going. The Carpenters in the same vein, which is like, this is who we are, take us or leave us. You can leave us if you like, because there's plenty of other things to worry about or get interested in. And that attitude I love. It's not trying to be all things to all people. And, it's like our politicians these days, I think, have sort of lost the art of setting a goal for us all, or the proper form of leadership, if you like, that we can understand and follow. It's trying to be all things to all people. It doesn't work. Marketing is about selling your product.
So should Australian films be more focused on doing that better?
Yes, I think so. And in saying that, though, even in the making of them and the story arc and so on, they have to think right through what is the journey they're taking the audience on, because there's a tendency in a number of the films that we make to take the audience into a very dark place. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for that. But give them light at the end of the tunnel. Just something to hang on to when they come out.
Third act.
Yeah, exactly.
Third act.
Exactly.
And Fallen, how's Fallen going?
It's actually soon. I know, it's been like a year it's been finished. That's an independent movie, but with a very significant budget, again, like $30 million budget. Now, it doesn't have the studio backing that I was just talking about. So the producers have had to find a big chunk of money to release the film widely in America. And touch wood, they're nailing that down. It's now scheduled for later in the year.
Fine, 20 years on, how's it feel?
Incredible. I mean, it's hard to believe. Here we are, literally 20 years on. There's going to be some celebrations around that in August, when the date the film was released, in Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, around the country. It's incredible to me. The film still has a life. It still has validity. It seems to really stand up. I had to look at it again myself the other day to approve the DCP, the cinema package, and I was stunned by how wonderful all the cast is, from Geoffrey Rush through Noah Taylor through John Gielgud and all these wonderful actors. And it was fabulous to revisit. It was quite an emotional thing to watch it again after many, many years of not seeing it. So yeah, I'm really excited by the fact that it's survived and still has validity,